She's what you nowadays they call a transgender.
She's a black male dressed up as a female. Okay. How tall is she?
Marianne's about 5'7", 5'6". She weighed about 135.
Okay.
Maybe 140.
And how old do you think she was?
But she was 19.
Okay. And where was she from?
No, Miami, down in Liberty City.
Okay. And did she, you'd mentioned before she had a boyfriend, or she talked about a boyfriend?
Named Wes.
Wes?
Yeah.
And tell me about where you met her at.
I seen her down at the Guar on 17th Avenue, and she had on a short cream miniskirt. Cream and red. So then this opportunity popped up. Take her to the store.
Right.
Instead of me bringing her back to the apartment, I went down 27th Street. That's going down to Fort Lauderdale, called the Alligator Alley. It runs in the Alligator Alley.
Right.
But the further out you get, the further you get out of Miami.
Right.
And you got vegetation.
Now, how far outside of Miami do you think you were?
It wasn't too far to Miami, right there. I was in my stepdaddy's car, Pontiac Le Mans.
Now, where'd you take her to?
Continue down 27. Got back on 27.
Going outside of Miami. Okay.
Miami.
Going away from Miami.
Going away from Miami. We got down past the let's say limits. So I continued on toward Fort Lauderdale, and I seen a road going off the main road back into vegetation on the left side. So I got her out of the car, pulled her out, and drug her into the growth back there, and pulled her deeper into there's a path. A little path was running somewhere. I don't know where it led it to, but it was running deeper into the undergrowth. It's like Everglades like that. And we ran into some water running. But before we got to the water, the earth was mushy. I turned her loose, and she fell into it face down.
And how far outside of Miami do you think you were?
About a mile, 2 miles.
What year did Marianne occur?
72.
Samuel Little, born Samuel McDowell on June 7, 1940 in Reynolds, Georgia, had a stimulus early life. His mother, Bessie Mae Little, was a teenage prostitute who possibly gave birth to him while incarcerated. Census records from the time list her occupation as a maid and his father as a 19-year-old Paul McDowell. After his birth, Little families relocated to Lorain, Ohio, where he was primarily raised by his grandmother. Little attended Hawthorne Junior High School but faced difficulties with discipline and academic performance. He claimed that as a child he developed sexual fantasies about strangling women, an interest sparked by an incident involving his kindergarten teacher. As a teenager, he collected true crime magazines featuring dispositions of women being choked, which further influenced his later criminal behavior. In 1956, Samuel Little was convicted of a break-in in Omaha, Nebraska, and subsequently placed in a juvenile detention facility. His mother's whereabouts was listed as unknown. In 1960, Little moved to Florida to live with his mother. During this period, he claimed to have worked as a cemetery worker and an ambulance attendant. Little's criminal activities intensified as he traveled more intensively, leading to his arrest in 8 states. His offenses included driving under the influence, fraud, shoplifting, soliciting, armed robbery, aggravated assault, and rape. He also claimed to have taken up boxing during this period, describing himself as a former prize fighter. In 1961, Samuel was sentenced to 3 years in prison for breaking into a furniture store in Lorain, Ohio, and was released in 1964. By 1975, he had accommodated 26 arrests across 11 states for crimes including theft, assault, attempted rape, fraud, and attacks on government officials. In 1982, Little was arrested in Pasco, Mississippi, and connected to the disappearance of a 22-year-old Melinda Rose LaPree. Although a grand jury declined to indict him, he faced trial in Florida for the murder of a 26-year-old Patricia Ann Mount, whose body was found that September. Despite witnesses' testimonies placing him with her, he was acquitted in January 1984 due to skepticism about the witness' reliability because she was a prostitute. Little moved to California and in October 1984 was arrested for kidnapping, beating, and strangling 22-year-old Laura Barrows, who survived. A month later, police found him in his car with an unconscious woman who was also beaten and strangled. He served 2.5 years in prison for these crimes and upon release in February 1987 moved to Los Angeles where he committed at least 10 more murders. On September 5, 2012, Little was arrested at a homeless shelter in Louisville, Kentucky on a narcotics charge. Extradited to California, DNA tested linked him to the murders of Linda Alford in 1987. Also, Guadalupe Apodaca, who was also killed September 3rd, 1987, and Audrey Everett, killed August 14, 1989. He was charged in Los Angeles on January 7, 2013. Subsequently, Little was investigated for up to 36 murders from the 1980s, and the LaPree case was reopened. In total, he was investigated for 93 murders across various U.S. states. In September 2014, Samuel Little was tried for the murders of Linda, Audrey, and Guadalupe. The prosecution presented DNA evidence and testimony for witnesses who had previously been attacked by Little. On September 25, 2014, he was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Despite his conviction, Little maintained his innocence. He remained in California State Prison, Los Angeles County, until his death. In November 2018, Little began confessing to multiple murders. On November 9th, he admitted to the 1996 strangulation of Melissa Thomas. On November 13, he was charged with the 1994 murder of Denise Christie Brothers in Odessa, Texas. After confessing to a Texas Ranger in May of 2018, Little pleaded guilty to Brothers' murder. On December 13, 2018, receiving another life sentence. By then, he had confessed to dozens of murders, potentially totaling over 90 across 14 states from the 1970s to 2005. Further confessions followed on. My God, he was such a sick fuck. In November 15, Little confessed to the 1979 murder of Brenda Alexander in Phoenix City, Alabama. On November 16, he admitted to the 1977 strangle of an unidentified woman in the 1982 murder of Fredona Smith in Macon, Georgia. In the fall of 2018, he also confessed to murders of Dorothy Richards in 1982 and in Daisy McGuire in 1996, both in Houma, Louisiana. On November 19, Little confessed to strangling Julia Critchfield in 1978 in Gulfport, Mississippi. The next day, he admitted to killing Nancy Carol Stevens in Tupelo, Mississippi in 2005. On November 21st, he confessed to murdering Evelyn Weston in South Carolina in 1978 and Rosie Hill in Maroon County, Florida in 1982. On November 27, the FBI confirmed 34 of Little's confessions and continued to investigate the remainder. Little made these confessions partly in exchange for a transfer out of Los Angeles County Prison. In December 2018, he was indicted for the 1982 murder of Linda Sue Boers in Warren County, Kentucky, and one of his victims, Martha Cunningham, was identified as being murdered in 1975 in Knoxville County, Tennessee. Knox County, Tennessee. But God, dog, the amount of women this man raped and got away with is unreal. The justice system seriously failed these women. There's no excuse on why this man was able to be free as much as he was. On May 31st, 2019, in Ohio, prosecutors announced indictments against Samuel Little, charging him with 4 counts of aggravated murder and 6 counts of kidnapping. These charges related to murders of Mary Jo Penton in 1984 and Rose Evans in 1991 in Cleveland. Both women were strangled, their bodies dumped. Rose Evans, 32, was found on August 24, 1991 in a vacant lot in East 39th Street. Mary Jo Penton's body was identified in 1992 after a model of her likeness was created by the FBI database. Little described Peyton as a short, plump woman with brown hair whom he picked up at a bar near East 105th Street. Oh, Lord Jesus, this man should have been killed a long time ago. But, oh, here we go. Little also confessed to killing another woman in Cleveland around 1977 or 1978, whose body was found on March 18, 1983 in Ohio. This unidentified woman was likely black, aged between 17 and 35, and her remains were discovered near a fence in a wooded area of off the Interstate 271. In addition, Little confessed to the murders in Akron, Cincinnati, and Kentucky, bro. Oh, my Lord. How the hell? He admitted to killing Anna Stewart, 33, whose body was dumped in Grove City, Ohio. Stewart had been seen last on October 6, 1981, and was killed on October 11. Little also confessed to killing another unidentified woman in Cincinnati between 1980 and 1999. This Jane Doe was black, slender, and wore glasses, and her body was found beside a cigarette billboard in Ohio. On June 7, 2019, Little was indicted in Hamilton County, Ohio, for the Cincinnati murders. Little's confessions led to the release of several portraits he had drawn of his victims. Ooh, boo-boo. Lord, this man drew freaking portraits. These portraits released by the FBI helped solve at least one cold case in Akron, Ohio. In November 2020, Little confessed to 2 murders in Florida, including one for which another man had been wrongfully convicted. That sounds familiar. On April 22nd, 2022, Zena Marie Jones, a 30-year-old woman murdered by Little in Memphis, Tennessee, was identified. Her body had been found on the side of the road in Mississippi River in 1990. Samuel Little, also known as Samuel McDowell, admitted to committing more than 93 murders, with 60 of those deaths formally connected to him by the police. Most of his victims were women involved in prostitution, drug addiction, or home. Despite all of his criminal activities, he was only charged and convicted of only 8 murders. Samuel Little had a significant relationship with Orla Jean Dorsey, who was his long-term girlfriend and partner in various criminal activities. Dorsey, who was 27 years old then, Little supported them both through shoplifting and other means. Their relationship ended with Dorsey's death from a brain aneurysm in 1988. In 1971, Little was arrested in Cleveland with his girlfriend at the time. They were charged with robbery of a gas station. During the case, she revealed to her cellmate that she would testify against him. The information helped the defense team prepare for trial, and he was ultimately acquitted. Samuel Little died December 30th, 2020 in a Los Angeles County hospital. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation did not provide a specific cause of death, but Little had a history of diabetes, heart problems, and other health issues. It's really sad to see that so many women had to die because they couldn't convict this man, even though they had evidence, they had witnesses, and he would get arrested. He got arrested over 100 times and only spent 10 years in jail over this whole process. All these years, only 10 years in jail. That is really sad to me. How the hell somebody that literally get picked up, taken to jail, only spent 10 years in prison? I really, really am sorry for the families who had to go through this.
Little Rock. Tell me what that girl looked like.
Oh man, I loved her. I forget her name. Oh wait, I think it was Ruth.
Okay.
She was a heavy set, big old yellow gal, and had buck teeth. It had a gap between the teeth, that's what it was. And she was like honey colored skin, and she had like her hair was not really long. It was.
How tall do you think she was?
She was about 5'7".
How much do you think she weighed?
She weighed about close to 200, about 170, 180.
Pretty big girl.
Yeah.
Now, where did you meet her at?
Okay, down there in the crack house. Her and about 6 other girls were sitting on the porch. The dude selling crack in there. I stopped to go in there. I seen the girl, that's why I stopped. We stayed together 2 days. or more. I think it was about 3 days. We was going shoplifting. We went to Sears. We went to Kroger's, and that's where I got busted. They took me to jail, and she went and stayed in the car. And the manager of Kroger's, I guess he got tired of her laying up in his property in that car. He called the station where I was at in North Arkansas to drop the charges. So he can come down and get this gal and car out of here. They cut me loose. So we was headed toward with that place where Walmart's original store been. I whooped off the road and back into that little woods. It was a cornfield back there. I pulled through it, and on the other side of the cornfield was a trash pile. I parked the car facing out where I could see anybody coming in. So I pulled her out of the car. She's too big for me to carry her. So I just pulled her out of the car and laid on that trash that was lit there.
So was it like a cornstalk pile, or was it?
Yeah, a bunch of corn stalks.
What could you see from there?
I could see the highway, and in the woods is that way. But it's right outside of Little Rock. I was about